The music pulsed through the humid Virginia air, a relentless beat that shook the ground beneath my feet. I stood on the edge of the backyard, clutching a lukewarm beer, watching my best friend, Ethan, stumble through the crowd, his laughter louder than the bass. Then he saw me, and in that split second, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my heart lurch. We'd been inseparable since middle school, Ethan and I, two awkward kids from Richmond who bonded over comic books and late-night video game marathons. Now, at 22, we were still thick as thieves, sharing an apartment, splitting rent, and navigating the messy post-college world together. Ethan was the golden boy, blonde hair, blue eyes, the kind of charm that made strangers smile. I, Lucas, was the quieter one, with dark curls and a tendency to overthink everything. Our friendship was my anchor, the one constant in a life that felt like it was always teetering on the edge of chaos. Tonight's party was at Sarah's place, a sprawling suburban house with a backyard that seemed to stretch forever. String lights crisscrossed above, casting a warm glow over the sea of 20-somethings dancing, drinking, and shouting over the music. Ethan had been downing shots like they were water, his usual restraint nowhere in sight. I'd been nursing my beer, trying to keep an eye on him without looking like I was babysitting. Lucas. Ethan's voice cut through the noise as he staggered toward me, a sloppy grin on his face. His white t-shirt was stained with something tequila, probably, and his cheeks were flushed. Why are you hiding over here? Man, come dance. I laughed, shaking my head. I'm good, Ethan. You're gonna regret those shots tomorrow. He slung an arm around my shoulders, his weight heavy against me. Tomorrow's a problem for future Ethan. Present Ethan wants to have fun with his best friend. His breath was warm against my ear, and I felt a shiver I couldn't explain. I told myself it was the night air. Nothing more. We stood there for a moment, his arm still around me, the party swirling around us like a dream. I could smell his cologne, the same cedarwood scent he'd worn since high school. It was familiar, comforting, but tonight it felt different, dangerous. Almost. I pushed the thought away. Ethan was drunk. I was overthinking, as usual. Then it happened. He turned to face me, his blue eyes glassy but piercing, like he was seeing me for the first time. Before I could react, he leaned in and kissed me. Not a quick peck, not a drunken stumble. A real kiss, soft and deliberate, his lips warm against mine. My mind went blank. The world tilted, the music fading into a dull roar as my heart pounded in my chest. I froze, caught between shock and something else, something I didn't dare name. He pulled back, his eyes wide, like he was just as surprised as I was. Lucas. He started. But then Sarah's voice cut through, calling him over for another round of shots. He blinked. The moment shattered, and stumbled back into the crowd without another word. I stood there, my lips tingling, my mind racing. What the hell just happened? Ethan was my best friend. My straight best friend. Or so I'd thought. I'd spent years burying my own feelings, convincing myself they were one-sided, that I could live with just being his friend. But that kiss, it changed everything. The rest of the night was a blur. I avoided Ethan, sticking to the edges of the party, my thoughts a tangled mess. Had he meant it? Was it just the alcohol? And why did it feel like my entire world had shifted in that one moment? I left early, walking home alone under the streetlights, the memory of his lips burning in my mind. The next morning, Ethan was sprawled on our couch, nursing a hangover and acting like nothing had happened. Rough night. Huh, he said, grinning as he sipped his coffee. I nodded, my throat tight, unable to meet his eyes. I wanted to ask him about it, to demand answers, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I retreated to my room, my heart heavy with questions I wasn't sure I wanted answered. Days passed, and Ethan didn't bring it up. Neither did I. But the silence between us grew, a chasm widening with every unspoken word. Our easy banter was gone, replaced by awkward glances and forced small talk. I started noticing things I hadn't before: the way his hand lingered when he passed me a beer, the way his eyes softened when he thought I wasn't looking. Was I imagining it? Or had that kiss unlocked something in him? 2. I couldn't shake the feeling that our friendship was unraveling. The kiss had been a spark, and now it was threatening to burn everything down. I didn't know if I wanted to put out the fire or let it consume us both. A week later, I was still haunted by the kiss. Every time Ethan laughed or brushed past me in our cramped apartment, my chest tightened. I kept replaying that moment under the string lights. His lips on mine, the way my heart had betrayed me with a surge of longing I'd spent years suppressing. I'd always known I was attracted to guys. But Ethan, he was my best friend, the one person I couldn't afford to lose. Falling for him was a risk I'd never dared to take. Ethan, meanwhile, seemed determined to pretend everything was normal. He'd crank up the music, make dumb jokes, and drag me to our favorite diner like nothing had changed. But I saw the cracks: how he'd avoid my gaze when we talked, how his laughter sounded forced. It was like we were both tiptoeing around a landmine, afraid one wrong step would blow everything up. One night, we were sprawled on the couch, binge-watching some sci-fi show we'd seen 100 times. The TV cast a flickering glow across the room, and Ethan was halfway through a beer, his feet propped up on the coffee table. I was pretending to watch, but my mind was elsewhere, stuck on that damn kiss. "Yo, Lucas," he said suddenly, his voice cutting through my thoughts. "You've been weird lately. What's up?" My stomach dropped. This was a moment to confront him, but the words caught in my throat. "Nothing," I mumbled, staring at the screen. "Just tired." He frowned, setting his beard down. "Bullshit. You've been dodging me all week." Did I do something? I wanted to laugh. Did he do something? He'd kissed me, turned my world upside down, and now he was acting like he didn't remember. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe it was just a drunken blur to him. Meaningless. The thought stung more than I expected. "Nah, man," I said, forcing a smile. "You're imagining things." He didn't buy it. I could see it in the way his jaw tightened, the way he leaned forward, his blue eyes searching mine. "Lucas, come on. It's me. If something's wrong, just say it." I opened my mouth, then closed it. How was I supposed to tell him that his drunken kiss had awakened something in me I'd spent years burying? That I was terrified of what it meant for us? Instead, I stood up, muttering something about needing air, and bolted for the balcony. The night was cool, the city lights of Richmond sparkling below. I gripped the railing, trying to steady my breathing. I didn't hear Ethan follow me until he was right behind me, his voice soft. "Lucas, talk to me." I turned, and there he was, closer than I expected, his face half-shadowed in the dim light. My heart raced. "You kissed me," I blurted out, the words spilling before I could stop them. "At the party. You kissed me, Ethan, and now I can't stop thinking about it." His face froze, his eyes widening. For a moment, he didn't say anything, and I regretted every word. Then he stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "I wasn't that drunk." My breath caught. "What?" "I wasn't that drunk," he repeated, his gaze steady. "I knew what I was doing. I just didn't know how to deal with it after." The confession hit me like a punch. He'd meant it. He'd kissed me because he wanted to, not because of the tequila. My mind spun, 1,000 questions crashing together. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Because I was scared," he admitted, running a hand through his blonde hair. I've never thought about guys like that. But with you, it's different. It's always been different." I stared at him, my heart pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. "Ethan, what are you saying?" I'm saying I don't know what this is, he said, his voice raw. But I know I don't want to lose you. And I know that kiss. It wasn't nothing. We stood there, inches apart, the weight of his words hanging between us. I wanted to close the gap, to kiss him again, to see if it felt as real as it did that night. But fear held me back. What if this ruined us? What if we crossed a line we couldn't come back from? Before I could decide, Ethan's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at it, his face darkening. It's Sarah, he said. She's having another party this weekend. Wants us to come. The thought of going back to that backyard, where everything had changed, made my stomach twist. But Ethan was already typing a reply, his fingers moving quickly. We should go, he said, not looking at me. It'll be fun. I nodded, though my heart wasn't in it. Something told me that party would be the start of something bigger, something we couldn't ignore. The second party was louder, wilder, the backyard packed with people I barely knew. The same string lights swayed overhead, but the air felt heavier, charged with something unspoken. Ethan and I had barely talked about our balcony conversation, but it lingered in every glance, every accidental brush of our hands. I was hyper-aware of his laugh, his movements, the way his t-shirt clung to his shoulders. It was torture. I stuck to the edges again, sipping a soda this time, trying to keep my head clear. Ethan was in the thick of it, playing beer pong with a group of guys from his old soccer team. He was all smiles, but I caught him stealing glances at me, his eyes unreadable. I hated how much I wanted to know what he was thinking. Halfway through the night, Sarah found me, her red hair glowing under the lights. Lucas, you're being antisocial again, she teased, nudging me. What's up with you and Ethan? You guys seem off. I shrugged, my chest tight. Just navigating some stuff. She raised an eyebrow but didn't push. Instead, she dragged me toward the bonfire, where Ethan was now holding court, telling some exaggerated story about our high school days. The crowd laughed, but his eyes found mine, and for a moment, it was just us again. Then it happened again. A guy from the soccer team, clearly drunk, slung an arm around Ethan and made a crude joke about him finally getting some action after the last party. The crowd roared, but Ethan's face flushed red, his jaw tight. I felt my own cheeks burn, the memory of the kiss flooding back. The guy kept going, oblivious, until Ethan snapped. Shut up, man. The crowd went quiet, the tension palpable. Ethan stormed off toward the house, and I followed without thinking, my heart racing. I found him in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, his hands gripping the edge. You okay? I asked, closing the door behind me. He didn't look at me. I hate this, he muttered. Everyone acting like they know me, like they get to decide who I am. I stepped closer, my voice soft. They don't. Only you do. He finally met my eyes, and there was something raw in his gaze, something vulnerable. Lucas, I don't know who I am right now. All I know is when I'm with you, I feel something real. My breath hitched. I wanted to tell him I felt it too, that I'd been feeling it for years. But before I could speak, he closed the distance between us and kissed me again. This time, it wasn't drunken or impulsive. It was slow, deliberate, his hands cupping my face like he was afraid I'd disappear. I kissed him back, my heart exploding with everything I'd held back for so long. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard, our foreheads pressed together. What are we doing? Lucas, he whispered. I don't know, I admitted, but I don't want to stop. We stood there, wrapped in each other, the party muffled beyond the door. For the first time, I let myself believe this could be real. But then the door swung open, and Sarah stood there, her eyes wide. Oh, she said, and the moment shattered. Ethan stepped back, his face pale. Sarah, it's not. Don't, she said, holding up a hand. I don't care. Just figure it out. Okay. She left, the door clicking shut behind her. The silence was deafening. Ethan looked at me, his expression torn. I need time, he said finally. This is a lot. I nodded, my throat tight. Yeah, me too. We left the party separately that night, the weight of what had happened settling over me like a storm cloud. I wanted to be angry, to demand answers, but all I felt was fear. Fear that we'd gone too far, that our friendship was slipping through my fingers. And yet, there was hope, too a fragile, dangerous hope that maybe, just maybe, we could be more. The next few weeks were a tightrope walk. Ethan and I didn't talk about the kisses, but they hung between us. Unspoken but undeniable. We still lived together, still shared meals and laughed at dumb memes. But there was a new current running through every interaction. Every touch felt electric. Every glance loaded. I was falling for him. Hard. And it terrified me. Ethan was struggling, too. I could see it in the way he'd go quiet sometimes, staring out the window like he was searching for answers in the Richmond skyline. One night, I found him on the balcony, a cigarette between his fingers, something he only did when he was stressed. You don't smoke, I said, leaning against the doorframe. He exhaled a cloud of smoke, his eyes distant. Yeah, well, I'm a mess right now. I sat beside him, our knees brushing. Want to talk about it? He took a long drag, then flicked the cigarette away. I've been straight my whole life, Lucas. Or at least, I thought I was. But now, I can't stop thinking about you. And it's freaking me out. My heart leapt, but I kept my voice steady. It's okay to be confused. You don't have to have it all figured out. He turned to me, his eyes searching. What if I want this? What if I want us? The question hung in the air, heavy and fragile. I wanted to say yes, to tell him I'd wanted this for years. But the fear of losing him stopped me. What if it ruins everything? I asked instead. He reached for my hand, his fingers warm against mine. What if it doesn't? We didn't kiss that night, but we sat there for hours, holding hands, talking about everything and nothing. It felt like a turning point, like we were finally admitting what we'd both been feeling. But the world outside our apartment wasn't so forgiving. The rumors started, small whispers among our friends, sidelong glances at the diner. Sarah had told someone, who told someone else, and soon it felt like everyone knew. Ethan's soccer buddies started giving him a hard time, their jokes laced with venom. Didn't know you swung that way. Man, one of them said at a bar, his tone more mocking than curious. Ethan brushed it off, but I could see it was getting to him. He started pulling away, not from me, but from everyone else. He stopped going to parties, stopped answering texts. I tried to be there for him, but I was struggling too. I'd come out in college, faced the stares and the slurs, but doing it with Ethan felt different. It was like we were both under a spotlight, and neither of us knew how to handle it. One night, things came to a head. We were at the diner, just the two of us, when a group of guys from Ethan's old team walked in. They saw us, and the leader, a guy named Jake, smirked. So, you two a thing now? He called out, loud enough for the whole place to hear. Ethan's face went red, his hands clenching into fists. I grabbed his arm, trying to calm him, but he shook me off. Mind your own business, Jake, he snapped. Jake laughed, stepping closer. What? You ashamed? Thought you were tougher than that. I saw the moment Ethan broke. He stood, his chair scraping the floor, and for a second, I thought he was going to swing. But instead, he grabbed my hand and pulled me out of the diner, his grip tight. We didn't stop until we were back at the apartment, both of us breathing hard. I can't do this, he said, pacing the living room. I can't deal with everyone judging me, judging us. My heart sank. So what? You're just going to run from it. He stopped, his eyes meeting mine. I don't want to run. I need to figure out who I am without all this noise. I wanted to argue, to tell him we could face it together. But the look in his eyes stopped me. He wasn't giving up on us, was fighting for himself. And maybe, I realized, I needed to do the same. Months passed, and Ethan and I found a fragile new rhythm. We weren't just friends anymore, but we weren't quite something else either. We stole moments, quiet nights on the balcony, tentative kisses in the dark, but we kept it private, shielding it from the world's judgment. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Ethan started therapy, something he'd never considered before. He said it helped, talking to someone who didn't know us, who didn't care about the rumors. I went too, working through my own fears of losing him, of not being enough. We were both learning, stumbling, but doing it together. One evening, as summer faded into fall, we went back to Sarah's for another party. It was the first time we'd been there since the night of the second kiss, and the air felt different, lighter. Somehow, we stood by the bonfire, shoulder to shoulder, the warmth of the flames mixing with the heat of his arm against mine. "Think we'll survive this one?" I asked, half joking. He smiled, his eyes catching the firelight. "We've survived worse." As the night wore on, we found ourselves alone by the wooden fence, the same one from that first night. The stars were out, bright and endless, and for once, the noise of the party felt far away. Ethan turned to me, his expression serious. "I love you, Lucas," he said, the words simple but heavy. "I don't know what that means for us, or for me, but I know it's true." My heart stopped, then started again, faster. I'd loved him for years, but hearing it from him, it was like the world finally made sense. "I love you too," I said, my voice barely a whisper. We kissed, slow and certain, under the stars. It wasn't a drunken mistake or a stolen moment. It was real, and it was ours. The party faded away. The whispers and judgments, nothing compared to the truth we'd found in each other. Our friendship was never the same after that night at the first party. It couldn't be. It had grown into something deeper, something braver. We faced the world together through the stares, the doubts, the moments of fear, and came out stronger. Ethan was still figuring himself out, and so was I, but we were doing it side by side. In the end, that kiss didn't ruin us. It saved us. It forced us to confront who we were, what we wanted, and what we meant to each other. And as we stood there, hand in hand, I knew we'd keep fighting for ourselves, for each other, for the love we'd found in the ashes of what we used to be.